Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Electric Bison. Last night I watched a House of Dynamite with Kathy, my wife, for the first time. We had different impressions, but I want to give you the bottom line up front. Number one, I think we need to pursue the Golden Dome. Number two, I think we need to have STRATCOM attach our missile wing here in Montana to Space Command to be used as launch vehicles to put the space-based interceptors into orbit as soon as possible. Number three, I think the Truman Committee that was so effective during World War II in keeping down waste, fraud, and abuse by inspecting facilities, inspecting companies, making sure there weren't sweetheart deals going on between companies. There were no kickbacks, no shakedowns. I think the Truman Committee needs to be reinvigorated. Right now it's the Senate Select Committee on Investigations, a subcommittee on investigations, permanent, and it's a subcommittee of the House Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. We need to reinvigorate that, put a really good senator in charge of it and staff it with really effective senators so that we can keep the cost of this program to a dull roar. At the September 30th meeting of the Golden Dome caucus in the Senate, which is chaired by Montana Senator Sheehy made the comment that it's going to be as expensive as possibly the Apollo 2 program. Well, if you inflate the Apollo 2 program to current numbers, it's only $300 billion. It's more likely this will be $3.5 trillion. But if you treat this Golden Dome effort, which should be a major effort, as the equivalent of a new war. World War II, inflated to today's dollars from 1946, was still greater than what this will probably cost. But this will cost probably 20% of our gross domestic product. World War II cost about 36%. But we need to get real on this. And after our public has seen the Iron Dome in operation in Israel, which is just a small portion of what this country is in size. We've got a president that's fully committed. We've got a number of space and Silicon Valley companies that have done a lot of groundwork, and they seem to have the collaborative test bed for having them work together. I think we need to go for it. This is a big deal and we need to do it. I think the Sentinel program, which Senator Daines has been pressing because it means votes here in Montana with the people that work at Malmstrom Air Force Base, I don't think that's a dead end. It's just more of the same. We need to call it what it is. And we need to end that contract because it's way over budget. It's $141 billion. And maybe take portions of that contract, upgrading some of the launch silos, and but changing the payloads to the space-based interceptors. We need to do that. And we don't have time to screw around. It's pretty obvious that China's already dogfighting in outer space with its satellites, and Russia is able to do the same. And if you look at that movie, the ground-based interceptors that missed because they're only 61% reliable, those ground-based interceptors, they provide some capability. But even in the best of times, there's only 50 of them. We got 150 targets right here in Montana, let alone the rest of the country, plus the population centers. So we need to get real. Now, so what I'm saying is, I don't like President Trump. I don't like him at all. I think he's a slob. I'll just be real obvious. But The idea of the Golden Dome is a good one, and I think we might be able to achieve it, maybe even during his term of office. I know that the Deputy Commander for Space Command, who seems to be a very capable individual, he and his staff will have the responsibility to draw together these technologies and make them work quickly. And I noticed that he's making that his priority, to make it happen fast. So I'm for it. We need to back him up. Whatever your politics are, we need to make this happen. And we need to have, if we're going to have an effective subcommittee on investigations, making sure there's no corruption like we're seeing with, I don't know how they talk these guys into putting money into tearing down the White House and putting the ballroom up. That's ridiculous. But anyhow, or moving the money for the Sentinel program, $1 billion over for Trump's fancy airplane he got from the Middle Eastern potentate. That's ridiculous. We're in a war. And with that thought, I just want to tell you my general impressions of the film. I thought it was great. My wife was very upset by it. She thought it was a pro-MAGA film. I didn't see it that way. Anybody who's been in the military knows that it's all made up of human beings that are dedicated to making this country work and protecting this country, and they're all fallible. We are all fallible, but we can do this. And I just want to draw your attention to the fact that the next missiles will be hyperglide. They'll be able to dodge around the mid-course ground defense that we saw in the movie. I want to draw your attention to the fact that we had in this film a very thoughtful president who, like the man said, reads the newspaper. The one we got now is he's a slob, and he's a disaster. We need to get through this administration to the other end, but meanwhile we need to get this Golden Dome off the ground. The one thing in the film that I want you to remember is how beautiful the city of Washington is, and all of our built environment, whether it's Arlington Cemetery, the Marine Monument to the flag going up on Iwo Jima, the Kennedy Center, the White House, which is now being partially destroyed, the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Monument, the Lincoln Memorial Bridge that ties together Robert E. Lee's old home with the Lincoln Monument as a way to heal up after the Civil War. All that is part of our built environment. And after 9 years of going over and over again the attacks of 9/11, which I experienced directly, the thing that I came away with was all the tourists that were in town that would have gotten killed if that was a nuke, all the animals, all the pets, all the zoo animals, all the innocent critters that would have died if that had been a nuke. That's really unfortunate. And all the children. But the reality is that's the world we've got ourselves into. And I think the biggest loss would have been the loss of our built environment, so that we would not look back to see what we've accomplished so far. And it's clear that President Trump has no use for built environment unless it's got his name on it. God. But we have a use for it. And if you look back at our own history and see what we did during World War II, President Roosevelt got people that he wasn't normally associated with. You know, the head of the Anaconda Company, the head of the steel companies, they all got together and they started working how we're going to get ready for World War II. And my general impression is that the executives and the staff in Parlantier and L3 Hughes and Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman and Boeing, all those companies, they seem to really be working hard trying to figure out how to take things that they've already done, they've already launched, they've already used, and how to tune them up and have them work together. We've got a deputy commander at Space Command who seems to have his stuff in a pile, and he really wants to get the job done, and I think we need to support him. We need to get this done. So, coming from a guy who does not like Donald Trump, come and get me, ICE. Screw all of you. But we need to get this done. I found it interesting that the woman in the movie, the young sergeant who was counting off the seconds to when the mid-course rocket was supposed to hit the incoming missile, that's the same voice I heard when I was deputy team chief in the National Military Command Center. And she would say, missile launch. A few minutes later, she would say, missile launch. But those are out in the Bay of Bengal. They weren't coming to our country, and someday they will. So we need to get real about this. It's unfortunate. And if there's a physics problem that needs to be solved, we got the physicists and the mathematicians. So that's my 2 cents. Sorry, Democrats, but let's get on it. Thanks.